The slave of the scoundrel. Ska. Beautiful. Anyway, Mikhail Keska. Hello, I'm Renee. I always forgot to do that. I don't know. It's kind of a hard... I'm gonna go with Mikhail. At your recommendation, I'll take the thief. You have chosen the Mikhail the thief. An interesting choice. We are here with Soul Union. We've picked a thief. An interesting choice, as I expected. May your intuition serve you well, Master Alien. Nothing wrong with Keska, just where my mind went to. Your soul may depend on it. It's a bit vexing to be tasked with finding this other person, but at the moment I haven't thought of any other options. I'd choose the thief. Where would I be in this garden if I were him? I've already explored the entire garden now. Should I start from the beginning? Or perhaps thinking of this whole thing in the completely wrong way? If this is nothing more than my personal subconscious dream, it's possible they cannot simply wander in of their own accord. What if I invite them in order for them to manifest here? For the lack of better words, I need to summon them. Devise what summoning ritual entail. Mikhail, I summon you here. Nothing happens. That solution was too simple, of course, so I feel a bit silly. There are some objects and places in this garden of particular interest to me. I suspect their symbolic significance could hold some kind of power in this place. Of course. A gift is in order here. I must make this invitation alluring. Of course you must prepare properly for a guest. Only then will a stranger feel inclined to enter such a private space. I should start looking around again. I must have missed something on my first pass. Toggle the map on the upper left corner to select a location to revisit. We should go to the patio. I returned to the patio. At first glance, nothing has changed since I was last here. Check under the roof of the gazebo. Tops of the tables. The tableware is all moved out of proper alignment, and napkins are unfolded or thrown loosely about. The platters are littered with crumbs, and glasses have some residual liquid at the bottom, as though they have been recently used. It states as if a whole group of people simply disappeared right in the middle of festivities. But would I really anticipate meeting another sentient being here? Yes. Personal belongings. There's bright-colored, lacy silk purse. Fancy bag that has nothing inside. I shouldn't be surprised. A decorative, yet completely empty container. Am I detecting some kind of theme here? Discovered the fancy purse. Nothing. I look over this patio, but I'm unable to find anything new worth noting at this time. I should probably move on to a different area. Alright. It's probably at north wall, south gate, altar, flower beds, orchard, patio, and the central fountain. Flower beds. Here we are again. Holding my breath, I return to the flower beds, readying myself for the sensory onslaught. I keep searching the trees for one of those birds I keep hearing. There is something slightly angular at the top of the dogwood tree, like a tip of a sharp tail feather. I'm eagerly making assumptions here, but the sounds of these hidden birds are goading me on. Observing the foliage of the dogwood tree from every angle, I can't make out enough details to verify my suspicions completely. I should just stay put and study it. If it's a bird, it will move eventually. I will stand still and watch this unknown subject in a tree vigilantly. Time passes, and there is not a single sign of movement. Continue to observe the tree. I almost thought I saw the light shimmer of the object ever so slightly. I blink and wipe my eyes before resuming my study. It could be my eyes growing weary and playing tricks on me. Continue to observe the tree. Nothing? Alright, fine. I guess I have to climb this tree. Neatly folded grass. Time to find out how strong and agile this body is. Here I go. As I push my body up towards the top of the tree, flower petals explode from the branches in every direction. I reached the canopy where I was sat, and I saw something resembling a bird. A small nest sat empty, a few feathers protruded from its edges. That's settled. I'm not sure how I feel about the results of my effort, but at least I've finished what I set out to accomplish. Discovered the bird's nest. I climb back down the tree and hasten my cloak around my shoulders. I look all over these flowers, but I'm unable to find anything new worth noting at this time. I should probably move back. That's totally what it said. The walls are imposing. Oh, there's nothing at the wall. Orchard. General glance. At a quick glance, I decide there's nothing more to see here at this moment. I should not. I return to the mysterious and menacing door. The same sinister cold draft engulfs me. I dare not linger around. The patio, no, I didn't mean to come here. Orchard. Citrus trees. We have seen this conversation before, so let's see what else can we find. A dowsing twig. We have gotten it. The central fountain. I can hear the soothing sound of trickling water. I return to the center of the garden, where I started my journey. Is there something else I can do? Throw something in the fountain for good luck. I'm done inspecting the fountain. Where would one find something worth throwing in that fountain? Rows of apple trees. Absolutely disgusting. Apple worms. The appalling discovery leaves my stomach lurching. After a quick glance, I decide there's nothing more to see here at the moment. I should probably move on to a different area. Altar. Coins. Is there anything new since I was last here? No. They're coins. Can I take them coins? Are they even coins? They look like coins. What can I do? Hello, cat. Where did you come from? I'm just returning here. Look, reconsider the tiered dish. Let's try a thought experiment, analyzing a human priest's miracle magic as a weaver. As I was a believer in a church, they might assume the weaver has called upon a vengeful spirit that has been lost in the transient plane. They see the destructive power and assume that only the anger of a supernatural grudge could wreak such havoc. For this reason, their priests and priestesses refuse to use their powers for battle, believing it will attach evil spirits to the physical plane, disrupt the cycle of reincarnation, and place a curse on their bloodline. I look at the offering plate with a bit more respect. At least they have placed a great deal of responsibility on the use of their powers. If I believed my Weaver arts could impact my bloodline for all eternity, I may have chosen to use them more sparingly. Even though I still think the teaching of the Church are misguided, they still manage to achieve the desired results. Where did the cat go? Are you still here? Because I would like not to crush you underneath the wheels. She's not here, apparently. I heard no cry, at the very least, which I'm very glad about. I guess that will do. That must only serve to reinforce their philosophy. This could apply to the theory of threads as well. I can finally understand why Noctis was not at all content with our current model of understanding. I glance up and down the stone steps. I decided it's time to move on for now. I should probably move on to a different area. Interesting. I have found literally nothing new. Where do I found our newest friend? Nothing? I have explored everything in that area, apparently. Bring them out. Let's try someplace else now. Flower beds? Look around some more. Keep observing. We shall keep observing. We got an unripe apple. As we know before. What else? The orchard. In front of the apple trees. I wonder if the worms will be drawn out by this poor little ugly little fruit. I would rather have them out in the open than hiding. I squat down and roll the apple towards the trunk of one of the larger trees. As expected, the swarms of squiggly little creatures start flooding out of the tree. They overrun the apple in an instant, but continue to pile up into a mound. The mound of worms begins to glow as they squirm and wriggle. Huh? I'm dumbfounded as the mass of glowing worms accumulate to the size of a fully grown person. After some vigorous wriggling, there is a blinding flash of light. The uncoordinated movements of the individual worms is gone. Instead, there's a mound of foul, dripping mud oozing over the soft green grass. Okay! A bit of sludge in the center of the mound shifts and an opened eye is revealed. It fixates on me, white and terrified. Could this possibly be the vessel I had chose? The sludge lurches slowly in my direction, gliding along the pristine green turf. The eye regards me with such intensity, I can feel my nerves being chipped away. I should let it approach me. I plant my feet and gaze of the oncoming entity. There's an audible gurgle made from the malodorous bubble of air, released from the surface of the mass. Ugh! It reeks of rotten vegetable matter. I should try to see if I can communicate with it. Hello? Can you hear me? As soon as the words leave my mouth, I notice a reaction from the widened eye. It blinks and narrows slightly, then it shifts, starting quickly to scan me from top to bottom. From the slope, an appendage vaguely resembling an arm reaches towards me. I'm also becoming uncomfortably aware that some of its putrid drippings are collecting on my shoe. The weight of the clump is expanding rapidly, working its way over my foot. I can feel its slimy texture dripping down my ankle while moving up and around the hem of my pant leg. Allow it to touch me. The reaching appendage I haven't saved a single time. Just saying. I wish for an early death, apparently. Anyway, the reaching appendage is still my top priority, so ignore the slope probing around my foot. Halting a half-inch from my face, the appendage splatters a couple drips of muck on my face. Lovely. Fine. Let's see where this leads. The eye seems to soften for a brief moment, and the appendage lowers abruptly to my right side. It roughly pats me a few times before settling on the slope of my shoulder. Random splatterings fling on my neck, chest, and upper arm. Through the layers of my clothes, I can still distinctly feel a hand emerging, with fingers desperately gripping. Much to my dismay, the splattered globs on my upper body are beginning to spread all along my torso. This is a silent cry for help. I get the impression that the eye is pleading with me. Fingers claw tightly at my shoulder. The weight of all enveloping slop is starting to pull me down as well. You must need help getting out of this sludge. I would better act quickly or I'll get overwhelmed as well. I'll look to the nearest tree and decide on a new plan of action. Here, hold on to this. Grabbing the hand from my shoulder, I direct it to the tree trunk. I start reaching into the muck, feeling around until I can find another arm. I pull it out, helping it find the tree. The eye continues to regard me, wide and fearful, but the arms follow my instruction and wrap around the tree. Now use that tree for leverage. I'll help. I start vigorously scooping and pulling the sticky substance away from the person as they manage to gradually free themselves. Pulling ourselves out from the sticky substance seems to have halted its growth. Even the horrid stench lifts, and all but disappears as the goop recedes. I'm starting to feel much calmer. I move the person away from the shrinking pile of sludge, and their newly freed hands peel away at the sticky substance still remaining on their head. Gasping greedily for air, the face of a young man is finally revealed. I can only guess he may be in his late teens or early 20s. Summoned the vassal, Mikhail the thief. It's been a curious sight to behold, and I watched while absently-mindedly brushing myself off. Now that he is freed of the muck, he continues to glare at me in heightened alarm. His hand! Are you all right? Look at it. I mean, the face doesn't match. It looks deadened. His mouth opens as though he wants to say something, but nothing comes out. Maybe I should say something. Are you all right? That was an odd dear. Are you all right? Uh-huh. Okay, good to hear. My response seems to have disarmed him, and he breaks his eyes from me to glance around the orchard. Wow. His voice trails off before a complete word is formed. He licks his lips and swallows, visibly nervous. I wonder what Noctis had told him in preparation for this. Where am I? How should I answer? In a garden, in a dream. You are in the mind's manifestation of a garden. This is a ritual. Some things will not be as they seem. But why? Why am I here? He seems genuinely confused. Perhaps he needs something to trigger his memories. At least I can relate. You seem disorientated. I was the same way when I first woke up here. I don't understand. I'm not sure where to start explaining. I think to offer a pat of encouragement, but he glares at me when I reach forward. This could take a while. This is getting nowhere fast. I close my eyes for a second to rub my temples. I hear a sudden rustle of moving brush and snap my eyes open. It's already bolted clean out of my sight without a trace. I look around the orchard, not a single clue to follow. As a thief, he sure is talented. What should I do now? Perhaps I should try looking elsewhere. Central fountain. Drinking? I return to the central fountain. Nothing has changed, no sign of disturbances. I doubt he's here. There's not many places to hide in this open space. Looking around is calming. The bubbling water is fresh and relaxing. I should just rest here and think things through. No use in running around aimlessly. I might as well just wait here and see if I can remember anything that might help me to figure out what to do next. I close my eyes and take a deep breath. Slow down and really think about what needs to be done. I'm in the essential ritual to expand my view of the world in a way that transcends the old thread-based paradigm. In order to do so, I need to purge the old mindset and open my inner eye. I've summoned a vessel to guide me through this spiritual journey, but they seem to be more confused than I am. Still, there must be a very important reason they are here. I remember Noctis said my soul may depend on it. She, of all people, would never encourage relying on others unless absolutely necessary. In short, I have no choice but to go forward. No choice going forward but to get this vessel to cooperate. If that's enough time for rest, shall I move on? Where he would hide. Patio. I return to the patio and nothing has changed. I hate myself. That's why I came here, because I can't read that word. Every random item appears to be where I left it. Do I remember all of the grass impressions? I don't notice any new disturbances. There must be something I'm overlooking. I would rather not stay longer than needed. Mikhail, are you here? No response. Taking another long look around, I'm still fairly confident of my memory. Nothing has changed since I was here last. Shall I move on? Altar. Return to the altar. The peaceful atmosphere remains unchanged. There's not a lot of places to hide here. Should I see if I can get a better view? He could be hiding anywhere at this rate. Offering plates stands untouched. The stone steps look the same as before. But I really can't find any reason to believe he's here. I take one last glance up and down the stone steps. There doesn't seem to be anything to do here. Shall I move on? Flower beds, I suppose. I return to the flower beds. Nothing has changed. The same overwhelming smell of perfume and high-pitched chirps. If I was a thief, would I come here? I'll need to check the trees and bushes. Might as well get this over with. I would rather not stay here any longer than needed. There's no such thing. Guess so. South gate. I return to the door. Nothing has changed. The same terrible sense of dread hangs over the door. Could he have gone through the door? It's unlikely, but the thought is as heavy as the stone wall before me, crushing my will. What then? What can I do? No, there's no point to that catastrophic path of thinking. I mustn't draw to that conclusion yet. Not until I have fully exhausted all others. Move on quickly. North Wall. I return to the North Wall. Nothing has changed. Let me think this over. I can't imagine where he would be in this place. There's no place to hide around here. I'm not sure what I expected to find here. Kyle, are you still here? Are you here? Shall I move on? Yeah. I return to the orchard. Nothing has changed. As he returned to this place, he wouldn't come back so soon after all, would he? My eyes trained to scan this large collection of trees. There's a lot of ground to cover here. I hear the sound of stifled snickering from the hedge wall maze. Feeling flustered, I take a moment to smooth the fold of my cloak before confronting the offending noise. I found him. Before I can say a word, the thief steps out from the hedges, neatly and unscathed. I gave myself away. But geez, you look like a fool, calling out like that. Regardless, this tactic achieved the result I wanted. You're talking with me now, so it worked out. True. His demeanor has changed from before. He seems more receptive to communication. I should take this opportunity to move towards more important issues. So, anyway, why were you hiding in the hedges? Did you learn anything useful? He pauses for a moment, overly dramatic, staring at me with his mouth open, ready to speak. So, well, how do I put this? Curses. He's obviously struggling to describe his thoughts regarding this current existential experience. Introspection is probably not common exercise for thieves. You were covered in rotten sludge. I helped you get out. You seem to have, gained some clarity. He becomes animated, waving his arms and nodding empathetically. And the stranger thing was, I don't think I was trying to follow you. Not at first. I was trying to get away, but it was weird, like I couldn't tell which way I was going. I kept finding myself heading towards you, so I just started following you. Then I was able to... His thought trails off again, and he looks towards me and gestures with his hand. He seems to want me to finish the sentence, as if we were joint storytelling. This is essentially a cognitive dream created by me. I am central to everything here. You agreed? No. That makes more sense. It sounds like you got more disorientated the more you tried to run away. This is my ritual, so straying too far must have caused you to lose your ability to focus and think clearly. You instinctively gravitated back towards me, so it seems you have no other choice but to stay within my vicinity. At least for now. I can't say I'm happy with that, sir, but at least it does make sense. And I'm not just going crazy. I nod in agreement, and he seems to be encouraged enough to speak something else on his mind. You know who I am and why I'm here, honestly. I can't remember. I feel like there's a lot I can't remember that I should. Like I'm missing... I don't even know what I'm saying. He seems troubled. I feel a little bit sorry for getting him involved. Truthfully, I don't remember everything yet either. I'm not sure I knew what I was getting into, but I'm confident I'll figure it out. Give it a little time and you will too. He scoffs at my suggestion and dismissively flicks his hair away from the front of his eyes. After a few moments of awkward silence, he stares at me again, throwing up his hands with a sigh. All right, sir. Where do we start? He places a hand on my back for emphasis, and suddenly I feel myself being snatched from my body and into his memory. So, you're the one from the Thieves' Guild? The best of the best, for my lady, awaiting your orders. Aha, you're a bold one for sure. You can drop the pretense. I know you're not affiliated with the guild. Huh? They wanted me to lure the rat who was poaching on their territory. Lucky for you, I couldn't care less about the institution. I always bestow my favor to those with promising souls. Then, what do you want from me? Maybe nothing, maybe everything. Depends if you are chosen. Will you roll your dice with me, or shall I turn you over to the guild? Some choice, lady. I know what the guild will do, so I guess I'll take my chances with you. Fine answer. Let us finalize the agreement. I can see her pull out a piece of a weathered plank parchment. She brings it to her mouth, laying a corner on her tongue. Sliding sharply, she closes her lips and pulls out paper. Tinged in blood, she offers it to the bewildered thief. Now your turn. This is our sole contract. The thief pauses for a moment before shrugging and accepting the paper. He mimics her accents perfectly before returning it. She pinches it with her fingers and it is consumed by a small flame. From here on, our threads are bound. When I call, you will grant me my one request. Only then you can be released. The scene fades and I can feel myself returning to my own conscious. Just as the last bit of lingering memory evaporates, I swear I could feel her burning red eyes looking straight at me. Sir? I seem to be on the ground, as though passed out. However, I feel fine. Mikhail is squatting next to me with a quizzical look on his face. I stand up and smooth out my cloak. I dislike titles. You can call me Ilian. Phew. You seem to be fine now. I am. Why would you think otherwise? I just touch your back and your eyes roll back into the back of your head. You just kind of crumble to the ground. Man, I had no idea elves were so fragile. I must have blacked out when I entered his memory. Strange, considering I'm not in an actual physical world at the moment. My cognition is deeply rooted in an observational fact, so there is a lot of consistencies. Really though, you don't do that often, do you? Warn me next time. I give it a passing consideration, offer him a nod, while continuing my thoughts. Anyways, this memory is profound. I'll enlighten him. I was inside one of your memories. You made a pact with my mentor, Noctis, and this is where I left off. It's another cliffhanger. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you liked this episode of Soulbound? Soul Union. I remember names well. And if you liked it, subscribe, like, comment. You know the drill. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!